Let's take you live to those proceedings now. As we can see, Minister Ronald Lamola is about to take to the podium and being handed over the formal submissions of outcomes from the 8 task forces, and it's now going to be formally handed to the G20 presidency. Let's listen in.
I hand it over to you, sir. Thank you.
I thought I was done with carrying heavy books at the law school. But thank you for that handover. The G20 Sherpa from the Department of International Relations, represented by Mr. Mguni here today, and the B20 Sherpa, Mr. Kaskavodia, on behalf of all the businesses that have participated in this platform, and all captains of industry who are here across the globe, and all the B20 participants. It is a great honor for me to be with you today to represent the President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, to welcome and receive the B20 report. This report is coming very timely because it's 2 months in advance prior to the Leaders Summit. So we will have to ensure that its content are factored in. We will not have an excuse of a late report. Business and the private sector in particular has a key role to play in the global economy. And the recommendations that you have made will be very critical to catapult the global economy into new heights. Our G20 presidency is a capstone of the Global South. It's uniquely positioned to shift the world axis towards a systematic, cohesive global economic cooperation. The data tells a powerful story. By 2050, more than 1 in 4 people on this planet will be on the African continent. This is a profound demographic shift, and it follows that the bulk of the investment in human capital and future skills must be focused right here on this continent. Equally, the demand for critical minerals, essentially to decarbonize our economies and reach net zero emissions by 2050, will be staggering. It is estimated that this transition will require 3 billion tons of minerals and metals to deploy solar, wind, and geothermal energy. We know, for example, that the Democratic Republic of Congo alone supplies roughly 70% of the world's cobalt, a mineral vital for electric vehicles' batteries. It is also against this background that South Africa, in all its participation in multilateral forum, emphasize the issue of value addition for our critical minerals, either at FOCAC, TICAD recently, and also our last engagements in the summit with the European Union. This points to a crucial area of convergence between the policies we are pursuing in the G20 and the recommendations of the B20. Our continent, and indeed the world, can no longer afford to be bound by extractive supply chains and industrial strategies of the past. The beneficiation and value addition of critical minerals must be a cornerstone of a more sustainable and inclusive economic growth model. And there is no better way for it to become a reality, particularly when there is a buy-in of business. because you are on the cutting edge of implementation. This is why one of the central messages of the B20 South Africa process has been that we cannot remain only a supplier of raw materials. We must invest in beneficiation, localization, and technology transfer so that value is created on our shores, jobs are created for our people, and resilience is built into our economies. This is not just charity, as the chair was saying, it is a smart move in economics. It is essential for our continent not to be left behind in this phase of a drive for critical raw materials. It is the only way to build stable, resilient supply chains for the world of tomorrow. This also dovetails with our non-alignment approach as a country in our pursuit of our national interest. In a world where unilateral tariffs are being enforced, diversification of trade and new partnerships are necessary, especially in our context where job creations and inequality affect a significant majority of our citizens. Self-sufficiency and building your own reliance is the only way to ensure that you will still play a critical role in the economy of the future. Furthermore, as digital technology evolves, it is clear that Africa can no longer be a passive taker of technology. We must be at the center of the debates around digital sovereignty and the evolution of artificial intelligence. The B20 Task Force on Digital Transformation has spoken with one voice. The world must commit to narrowing the digital divide, expanding affordable connectivity, and creating a truly inclusive digital economy. If 1 billion Africans are excluded from the digital future, then the whole world loses. And who is better placed to help us achieve this goal other than yourself, who have created technologies in the vast of your businesses, interconnecting communities and societies, delivering food, medication, and making the lives of our people possible. You are speaking with experience and not just theory. Equally, the Employment and the Education Task Force has highlighted that skills development must be aligned with the jobs of tomorrow, green jobs, digital jobs, and entrepreneurial opportunities for our youth. We need an education system that prepare our young people not just to participate, but to lead. The future workforce will not be measured by role learning, but by creativity, adaptability, and innovation. Africa's youth are ready for this future if the world partners with us to unlock it. The B20 recommendations lay a strong foundation for the G20 to cohere around Africa's reindustrialization in a way that benefits not only the global community, but also future generations on the African continent itself. The Energy Mix and Just Transition Task Force has underlined the urgency of mobilizing finance at a scale for renewable and grid infrastructure. The Finance and Infrastructure Task Force has emphasized the empowerment of SMEs, the true job creators of our economies, through access to finance and integration into the global value chains. These recommendations shows that can and should lead the world in energy, agriculture, digital innovation, and industrialization. These are not just African priorities, they are global imperatives. The Sustainable Food System Task Force has reminded us that food security is not a regional challenge, it is a global imperative. With Africa's vast arable land and innovation in sustainable agriculture, the continent can be a breadbasket for the world. And as climate shocks multiply, Africa's ability to feed itself and others is not only an economic issue, it is a moral one. The global landscape is shifting. All certainties are giving way to new realities. We are witnessing a diversification of power where traditional partnerships are no longer the only axis of progress. This is our moment to rise to the occasion. This is our moment to rise to the occasion with confidence, clarity, and courage. It is a moment to prove that the Global South is not a problem, but is able to add to solving challenges that the globe is facing. South Africa's G20 presidency has entered its last 90 days. Approximately 87 of the 132 official meetings on the G20 calendar have already taken place. These meetings address some of the most urgent and significant challenges facing the global community, demonstrating our firm commitment to finding sustainable and innovative solutions through dialogue, collaboration, and cooperation. The ongoing G20 discussions aims to advance South Africa's overarching priorities, namely strengthening disaster resilience and response, ensuring debt sustainability for low-income countries, mobilizing finance for just energy transition, harnessing critical minerals for inclusive growth and sustainable development. These priorities are not abstract. They echo the B20's clear calls for coordinated global action to reduce debt burdens that stifle development, for private capital to be unlocked in support of the energy transition, and for new partnerships between government, business, and civil society to thrive and to drive inclusive industrialization. The B20 has rightly reminded us that no transition will be possible without affordable finance, no resilient economies without SMMEs, and no fair global system without addressing inequality. The third meeting of the G20 finance ministers and central bank governors took place on the 17th and 18th July 2025 in Durban, in KwaZulu-Natal. The meeting's outcomes were agreed in a communique concerted to by all members that centers on strategic microeconomic issues. To this end, the meeting delivered productive and constructive discussions on Africa, the global economic outlook and microeconomic stability, the international financial architecture, sustainable finance, global health infrastructure, tax, financial sector issues, and financial inclusion. Furthermore, on the 29th of August 2025, our G20 presidency launched the G20 Extraordinary Committee of Independent Experts on Global Wealth Inequality. The panel is being chaired by the Nobel Economics Prize laureate, Professor Joseph Stiglitz. This initiative seeks to heighten global attention on the cross-cutting of inequality while advancing South Africa's G20 agenda on SDG 10, which calls for action to reduce inequality within and amongst the countries. The Extraordinary Committee will emphasize the need for practical action on political courage and international solidarity to address growing disparities in income, wealth, and finance opportunities. It aligns closely with the B20's Integrity and Compliance Task Force, which has made it clear that transparency, anti-corruption, and good governance are not just ethical imperatives, they are growth imperatives. Fair, transparent systems are what unlock trust, investment, and opportunity. A corrupt system may enrich the few, but it impoverishes the many and robs the world of innovations and growth. The Extraordinary Committee will develop and publish the first ever official G20 paper on global inequality, with 4 key objectives, namely, stimulate global attention and debate on the growth in extreme wealth and income inequality that exists across and within and between countries. Call for the formation between government and civil society of new strategic alliances against inequality. Provide credible analysis on the state of wealth and income inequality, including but not limited to its impact on poverty, multilateralism, and growth, and recommend and mainstream evidence-based solutions vital to reducing extreme economic inequality within, between, and across countries, which may include progressive taxation, a just transition, and multilateral and debt reform. I wish to express the President's gratitude to our host, Business Unity South Africa, and to Mr. Kaz Kavadia, the G20 Sherpa, but also to all businesses that have supported South Africa's G20, not only the B20. All our meetings of the G20 across the board will not have been successful without the support of South African business and other businesses across the globe. My thanks also goes to the task force leaders. I'm not going to mention their names because I may miss someone and I might be in trouble. There are dedicated teams and the sponsors who believed in the transformative power of an African-led B20. The success of B20 South Africa is more than just an achievement. It is a testament to what collaboration, commitment, and shared purpose can accomplish. History will not remember the communiques that we have signed or the documents that you handed over to me. It will remember whether we rose to meet the agency of this communique in terms of implementation. Will it be felt in the streets of Mogadishu, in the streets of Addis Ababa, in the streets of Soweto, or in Washington, in New York, or in Hong Kong, or in any part of the world? Will the world look different after we have implemented what is in the communique? That is what matters the most. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Lamola, for giving us your feedback and, of course, so boldly, courageously, and through clear avenues of collaboration, accepting the recommendations that have been compiled by the B20. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's been a momentous occasion so far today, but as has been echoed by several of the speakers, the chairs, of course, co-chair of the B20, the Sherpa of the B20, and the minister himself, this is where the conversations need to be of consequence. We've deliberated, we've debated, we've evaluated, and now's the time to implement. So as we go about our ways throughout the different organizations, sectors, fields, and industries that we all lead so courageously, we do want to ask that you boldly take it upon yourselves to be co-collaborators in ensuring that the recommendations shared here today are of significance in the history of the globe. Thank you so much to each and every one of you for participating with us today. I do want to remind you, to our online audience and those of you who are present, you can get a copy of these recommendations on the B20 website. That is available on the website for you to go through, read, of course, and most importantly, implement within your respective spaces. To our key stakeholders who are here with us in the room, please do join us for refreshments, which will be made available. My peers and counterparts within the media, please do reach out to the B20 office. They will be able to assist you with further interviews and deep dive into the conversations and recommendations made by the respective chairs of the B20. It will be a busy day for you today.
All right, there the event has essentially concluded. Gugulethu Mfuphi there being the MC. Powerful words from the Minister Ronald Lamola, saying history will not remember the handover of the communique today, but rather its implementation. Those were live visuals from Johannesburg at the B20 recommendations handover event. The B20 is, of course, a dialogue forum for business in the G20 countries. The International Relations Minister there, Mr. Lamola, accepting the report of the outcomes from 8 task forces to the G20 presidency. Of course, this is on behalf of President Cyril Ramaphosa. He also stated that the B20 collectively agrees that, among others, the world must commit to narrowing the digital divide, which is a gateway to economic opportunities for many. Well, our reporter, Gloruis Sefako-Mmusi, is monitoring, or has been monitoring, those proceedings of that handover event, and will give us a comprehensive rep of that event a bit later on.